Nathan Seiuli from the Free Speech Union. Nathan, kia ora, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Morning, Andrew. Great to be here.
Before we jump into the details of your exciting weekend, great news in terms of the Portia Mao case. She had her day in court and a brilliant result.
Yeah, so the judge rightly threw out the interim orders that were on her under the HDCA, and cited that it was extremely concerning to see how the HDCA had been used in this instance. So, unfortunately, Morgan Zhao, who brought the orders, is back to the planning board.
Yep.
We discovered that he is apparently a law enforcement officer, which means parking ticket administrator, really. So he's gone to issue a few more tickets, and we'll see if we can find any more victims who would be happy to represent in the future.
And hey, the other thing that has changed since we last spoke about this is now we can say his name. Now that it's gone to court, we can talk about who this individual that caused all the trouble in the first place is. In terms of Portia, though, I mean, it's great news for her, but it's also great news for other people in this particular situation. And I mean, yes, there's case law, but as the judge mentioned, there's question marks about just what a rubbish piece of legislation this is and how many loopholes it's got in it.
Yeah, I mean, when it was brought in 2015, it was well intentioned, to look
Yep.
after children online. But what it has been is sloppily written and poorly applied. So we're launching a full investigation and review into every HTCA ruling that has been. And we're encouraging people that if there is a current order against you to reach out to us. The reason we were able to talk about Portia's case is because we were her representatives.
Yep.
So there's cases out there that we don't even know about. There's a few that we're aware of on the peripheries. But yeah, we want to make sure that this legislation has been in place for 10 years. Its
Mhm.
shelf life has been reached, and we think it's probably expired. So we're going to look at what we can do to make some changes there and amendments there that would really help us moving forward.
So fighting this in the courts, but also at a legislative level as well, and certainly a good case law in this regard helps. I want to correct perhaps a wrong impression, though. People might go, oh, FSU, they're just a bunch of lawyers, right? They're always in court suing people. So much more than just that. The Free Speech Union, very active in universities, in high schools, and also in churches. In fact, that's where you were busy over the weekend, Nathan.
Yeah, Nick and I, who your listeners will be familiar with, we were able to go down to Palmy on the weekend, the
Okay.
lively city of Palmy,
Yep.
and we were invited to speak at what was called the Influence Seminar at a local church down there, Vision Church, by a pastor named Pastor Dale, and he's just doing a fantastic job with his church in bringing to light some of the issues that we as Christians are told that we shouldn't talk about because they're too political, they're social issues, they're cultural issues. I'm of the opinion that if you read the Bible cover to cover, there's no issue of life that the scripture doesn't touch. There's wisdom for every situation. And as Christians, we should be equipped with wisdom and knowledge that is biblically based for every situation. There's nothing new under the sun. So some of the issues we're seeing at the moment that might be politicized or painted up as culture wars, there are things in scripture that can speak to that. So Nick and I wanted to encourage the attendees there that day that as Christians, there's a role for them to plug into these issues and to practice their free speech. It's so important. It's not just a right, a human right that we hear about, but it's
Mhm.
a God-given gift. So we partnered with some other speakers there, the likes of Bob McCroskey and Penny Marie from Let Kids Be Kids, and was an absolutely amazing day, fantastic day, and they're doing a really good job in Palmy.
Now, putting this in context, Free Speech Union itself isn't a Christian organisation as such. However, a number of people such as yourself and Nick who have a personal faith, happy to speak in church context and happy for people within the Christian community to know their free speech rights as well, right?
Oh, 100%. Look, I say this often. I work with lawyers, academics, and politicians every day myself. I was formerly a pastor before I came into the Free Speech Union. So when I come to this conversation, it's not something that I do academically or intellectually. It's something that I come to with a deep conviction of theology
Yeah.
that we carry free speech in the image of God. So yeah, like you say, we're not a Christian organization. Myself, I'm very happy to profess my faith because I have free speech.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone out there in the community who might want to know more about a Christian approach to free speech, reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk and hear your story a little bit as well.
There's some other events coming up, and I suppose this reflects some of the diversity of the work that you do, yes, in courtrooms and with legislation, yes, in churches and universities as well, but also some of the events that you do in a high school education setting. And you mentioned Nick, he works predominantly in this area. Some of that free speech from an educational point of view, not just in high schools, an opportunity to access this material outside of that setting coming up?
Yeah, totally. So when Nick came on board, we had this vision and this plan that we would go into high schools and teach children the importance of free speech. Because while it's all good to make legislative change,
Yep.
there also needs to be a grassroots movement upwards. We can't just attack this from the top down because whoever's in power makes the rules.
Yep.
So it's not always going to work to just try and set law. So we said we're going to go to all these schools. We're going to tell them about free speech. Now the problem there was schools are extremely hard to get into at the moment. We've had a bit of success, but it is a bit like banging your head into a brick wall. So what we've done is we've set up a meeting on the 24th of this month here in Auckland, with Elam Christian College, and it's going to happen externally to school hours. It's going to take place at 7 p.m. If you want to know more information, head to our website. But Nick, our education partnership manager, he's a fantastic communicator. He's a teacher by trade. He used to be a high school teacher at St. Kennigan's, and he's going to do his masterclass effectively on what free speech is.
So not just for high school assemblies, but for concerned parents to be engaged with that as well. And hey, anybody listening who's on a school board, that you're saying, hey, you know what? I think Nick at our school assembly would be good. Use your sphere of influence. Use your free speech to make sure that that's available for the young people in your community as well. Just finally on this one, another tour coming up, Nathan.
Yeah, look, we're looking forward to our second tour of the year. We have an American sociologist and academic by the name of Musa Al-Grabi. He may not be a household name. One that might be a bit more familiar is Jonathan Haidt. He was Jonathan Haidt's protege and understudy, and part of the Heterodox Academy with Jonathan. But he's just recently authored a new book called We Have Never Been Woke, which might be a surprise to some of the listeners.
Yeah.
But the argument he makes that I find extremely convincing is that there is a class of people at the moment who are happy to march in the streets and protest and virtue signal. But he draws this amazing picture of New York City, where he's based, during COVID times, where they purged the streets of all the homeless and all the low socioeconomic class, so that the streets didn't look messy and dirty, and they got rid of them. And he also talks about how these people who advocate for immigrant rights and things like that are happy to use things like Uber Eats and Uber, who underpay their staff. So he calls them symbolic capitalists. He's here to unpackage that idea that we have never really been woke. So we're really looking forward to having him coming in July between the 12th and the 15th. So if you're in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, or Dunedin, make sure you head to our website and RSVP to come to an event.
fsu.nz. And hey, if there's opportunity in his busy schedule to be a part of this show as well, certainly it sounds like a fun conversation. Nathan, thanks for all that you do at FSU, fsu.nz. One more time on that one to find out about some of the things that are happening. In fact, would encourage people to subscribe to that. Always some challenging and encouraging updates from the FSU. Thanks for being on the program today.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.